This video presents an idea-based research proposal entitled Computers, Flashcards, and Content Area Vocabulary. It is presented by Karen Power of Memorial University of Newfoundland and Labrador. Statistics Canada has identified learning disabilities as the most common type of disability in Canada. Children with learning disabilities are being educated in classrooms across the country, and many are struggling daily with the curriculum. Learning the vocabulary in content area subjects, such as science and the social sciences, can be a big obstacle for students with learning disabilities. Educators have been searching for ways to support students in their learning. Advancements in technology have opened a new window of learning for all students, but they can be especially helpful to students with learning disabilities. This study will examine the effectiveness of two computer applications currently being used by students with learning disabilities. The study will be guided by two research questions. Number one, which technology application used to study content area vocabulary will lead to increased disciplinary vocabulary knowledge, Quizlet or Read and Write Gold? Number two, what are the students' attitudes toward and perceptions of these vocabulary flashcards in terms of their vocabulary learning and word knowledge acquisition? The literature review for this study began with an examination of learning disabilities and the difficulties experienced by students with such disabilities. Grillo and Diker in 2013 speculated that students with learning disabilities struggle with language processing and literacy skills and are in need of direct instruction in vocabulary. Harmon, Hedrick, and Wood in 2006 found that the language of different content areas presents great challenges to students with learning disabilities. Most words in these areas are low-frequency words, which do not appear in other contexts. Learning and using these words is necessary for content area success. A common theme in the literature is the importance of effective teaching for students with learning disabilities. It has been found that students with learning disabilities need opportunities to develop knowledge of content area vocabulary. They also need to use a variety of strategies and methods in order to internalize this vocabulary. In their 2006 study, Harmon, Hedrick, and Wood identified several instructional interventions that have proven effective in helping students learn content area vocabulary. Number one, discussions about terminology that relate the vocabulary to known concepts can support learning. Number two, direct student involvement through constructivist methods of teaching encourages personal ownership and learning. Number three, repetition and drills, such as flashcard applications. Number four, students developing and manipulating their own flashcards encourages multisensory learning. And number five, multiple exposures to key terms is essential to long-term recall. Oberg, in his 2011 study, related vocabulary instruction to computer use. He identifies 4 benefits of using computers to support the learning of vocabulary. Number 1, the ability of programs to add imagery to provide meaningful context. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Number 2, the ease of the mechanical representation to aid in memory. Number 3, the ability to provide structured practice, training, and testing. And number 4, the opportunities for learners to link together to work cooperatively in their quest for vocabulary knowledge. Oberg provides us with a clear statement of the problem recognized in the relevant literature. He writes, despite the importance given to vocabulary and its central place in language learning, there have been relatively few studies directly comparing the use of word cards and computer-assisted learning interfaces for vocabulary acquisition. This study was designed to provide some beginning insights into this problem. The participants in this study are from a targeted population and represent a convenience sample. Each of the students has a diagnosis of a language-based learning disability. Each student is completing Biology 2201 with Miss Apple. Finally, each student is enrolled at Menahek High School in Labrador City. This population consists of 18 males and 12 females. Since the students in this study are part of a targeted population, they share a number of common characteristics. Number 1. All students in the study receive special education services through their regular classroom teachers in academic courses. This could include reading of tests, extended time. Number 2. All students in the study receive a study skills course taught by the instructional resource teacher. Finally, number 3. All students meet the requirements for a diagnosis of a learning disability as defined in the DSM-5 and required by the Department of Education of Newfoundland and Labrador. Before beginning work with the students in this study, written permission for participation will be obtained from the legal parent or guardian, the student, the Newfoundland and Labrador English School District, and the school's administration. The convenient sample of students will be randomly assigned to one of two groups, one of which will use the flashcard application Quizlet found at Quizlet.com, and the other the vocabulary list builder in the software program Read and Write Gold provided on the computers at school. The materials for this study are vocabulary list and technology. Students will have access to, through personal or school devices, technology with the Quizlet app or the Read and Write Gold program. The applications will be available to use on a daily basis during the scheduled study skills class. Using a mixed methods design, this study will provide a clear statistical picture of the usefulness and effectiveness of each application in vocabulary acquisition. In addition, it will provide insight into the interest and motivation of the students while using the applications. To begin the study, it's necessary to identify students' pre-vocabulary knowledge. This will be accomplished using the vocabulary knowledge scale as presented by Doherty, Stahl, and Bravo. The students are required to respond to the following statements. Number 1, I don't remember having seen this word before. Number 2, I've seen this word before, but I don't think I know what it means. Number 3, I've seen this word before, and I think it means. The student fills in the blank. Number 4, I know this word. It means. Again, the student fills in the blank. And finally, if they can answer it, number 5, I can use this word in a sentence. The vocabulary knowledge scale has been shown effective in this type of study. The Pearson test-retest correlation was 0.89, and the correlation between perceived word knowledge and actual scores of knowledge were above 0.95. The instrumentation for the qualitative part of this study will include the recording of answers to interview questions. The first question, how did online flashcards and exercises, or the Read and Write Gold vocabulary list, help you learn vocabulary? Number 2, how did you feel about learning vocabulary through online flashcards and exercises, or the Read and Write Gold vocabulary list? And finally, number 3, why are these applications easy to use? Why are they not easy to use? To begin the study, each of the participants will complete a pre-test using the vocabulary knowledge scale. This test will be on the vocabulary for the unit, the micro-universe of the cell. After the pre-test, students assigned to the Quizlet study group will be taught how to use the features of the application. First, the flashcards themselves. Students can choose to have the word or definition presented first. They can then flip the card with the click of a mouse. If so desired, students can look at both sides of the card. This option also allows the words to be read aloud. The Learn section will present the word definition and require the student to enter the word. Again, this section can be read aloud. The Test section creates a test for students to complete. Students can choose written, matching, multiple choice, or true-false questions. Next, the Scatter game provides a matching activity in which students drag the terms and definitions together. It It is a timed test, so students can attempt to better their own score. Finally, the race game has students type the word before the definition disappears from the screen. These activities allow the students to interact with the words on a daily basis.
The group using Read and Write Gold will be shown how to generate the vocabulary list. Once the program and Microsoft Word are open, the student chooses the vocabulary list builder icon. The vocabulary words are typed in and added to the list. When the list is complete, the student types a name for the list, chooses Include Images, and checks OK. The word list is generated with a definition and a picture if it's available in the program. The student can then edit the definitions. So in this case, we're not looking at astronomy. We'll delete this section. They can add missing pictures using the internet and notes based on class presentations. This vocabulary list is then used in the study skills classes to review the words on a daily basis.
Students will have two 50-minute periods to develop their vocabulary list using the assigned program. Each day for 2 weeks, students will be provided with 10 minutes to interact with their vocabulary list using the tools and activities in the respective programs. At the end of the 2-week period, each student will complete the post-test using the vocabulary knowledge scale. This will measure any gain in the dependent variable, vocabulary knowledge. Each student will also be interviewed in groups of 5 to determine their thoughts and opinions on the programs. After gathering all the quantitative data, a gain score will be calculated for each vocabulary item. These gain scores will then be averaged to allow the comparison of the effectiveness of the independent variable, the type of application used. Gain scores will be calculated by taking the post-test score and subtracting the pre-test score. An independent t-test will be implemented to determine whether the mean gain scores between groups are significantly different from each other. Analysis of the qualitative data will begin with a transcription of all field notes and observations. The data will then be coded to identify themes and trends. A narrative discussion with direct quotes will be written to summarize the information gathered from all observations and discussions with participants. It is expected that students will demonstrate an improvement in their vocabulary knowledge with both applications. However, students who use Quizlet will most likely show a greater improvement in vocabulary knowledge due to the large number of activities contained in the program. It is expected that through the discussions with students, they will identify a number of positive benefits of using technology. 1. Students will recognize that using technology to learn content vocabulary increases attention and motivation. 2. Students will recognize the benefit of interacting with vocabulary and definitions while entering that information into the program. And 3. Students will recognize that having the ability to insert diagrams and pictures along with words can help with long-term memory of vocabulary. As with all research studies, there are some limitations in this study. First of all, student motivation while completing the pre- and post-tests cannot be guaranteed. It's hard to know if they gave it their all. Second, self-reporting can introduce errors into the analysis. It's possible that students may think something slightly different than what they actually do. Number 3, inability to control student usage of the application outside the dedicated time periods. It's quite conceivable that some students may perform better because they spent more time using the information they created. And finally, The sample size and population itself introduces limitations into the study. Because of the specific nature of the population, it's hard to generalize it to other studies. This study has highlighted the need for future research in the area of technology and vocabulary knowledge. First of all, rapid changes in technology means there will be a need to review and evaluate programs that are being brought into the classroom to help students with disabilities meet curriculum outcomes. As well, further research on the characteristics of effective flashcard and vocabulary programs will allow teachers to choose the software that best meets the needs of their students. In conclusion, we can certainly say advances in technology have had a profound effect on students with disabilities. Software such as Quizlet and Read and Write Gold are just two programs that can support and expand students' content area vocabulary knowledge. Finding the program that works best for each student will lead to increased learning and higher levels of success.